Just some light housekeeping before we start. In case you're wondering, if you do hear some sounds that sound like babies screaming in the background, no babies were harmed during the recording of this podcast. It's actually a bunch of sulphur-crested cockatoos, and they like to screech as they fly past the windows. They're fine. We're all fine.
We've only just begun trivia. Rach and Jess's for trivia. Have some fun with trivia. Come and play some trivia. Welcome back to everyone's favourite new book trivia podcast, where we delve along the shelves to learn the backstory behind books we've read and love. My name is Jess, and alongside my book bestie Rach.
Hello. Hi, Jess. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. We're here to provide you with plenty of tasty tidbits and book trivia. There's no shortage of serious book podcasts out there providing excellent analysis of plot and theory, but guess what? We're not one of them. Instead, it's our mission to keep things light and provide you with all the juicy trivia and factoids you need and want.
Should we start with a lightning round of trivia?
Let's do it. We love to do it. Do you want to start us off?
I do. So mine has a little theme this time. So they're all related quiz questions that I'm going to ask to you, Jess. So Jess, what is the name of the annual literary prize awarded for outstanding achievements in science fiction and fantasy? So sci-fi and fantasy book prize.
Sci-fi fan book. I don't know, and this is a worry because if this is the theme, I'm not going to be doing too well. But go on, tell me what it is.
The answer is the Hugo Award. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of it actually, but yes, I wouldn't have guessed it. My three facts I've got for you are not in any way related at all. I'm just going to start it off with. So, what book opens with the line, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of good fortune must be in want of a wife"?
Is that Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen?
It sure is, and I will never ever do that accent.
Okay.
Your turn.
Okay, I'm still on the Hugo Awards. So just have a guess. What shape is the Hugo Award prize trophy?
I'm going to say a triangle. I'm feeling triangles.
Yeah, it's actually shaped like a rocket. So close guess. Still it's pointy. It's really beautiful. I had a look on Google Images. It's really...
As a fan of sci-fi, I'm a bit sad that I'm not going to get the answers to any of these.
I think you'll get the last one.
All right. My second question for you in our lightning round is, what are the names of the siblings in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
Oh, goodness. There's a Susan.
Yes.
An Edmund.
Yeah. Edmund. He's the naughty one.
And there's one more girl and one more boy. I can't remember. Susan and...
The girl starts with L and the boy starts with P.
Peter?
Yes.
And L. Lisa?
Rhymes with juicy.
Oh, Lucy. God, it's been so long since I read those books. Okay.
All right. What's the last one you got?
Okay, this is a Hugo Award theme. In 2001, a young adult book named The Goblet of Fire won the Hugo Award.
Oh, okay.
And the author was not there to accept the prize and didn't send a representative to accept the prize. And there was someone who was widely reported to be annoyed by that situation because their book, which was called A Storm of Swords, was a finalist that year but lost out to Goblet of Fire. So who was the person who was widely reported to be annoyed? They wrote A Storm of Swords.
Yeah, so that's the Game of Thrones, right? So George R.R. Martin.
Yeah.
Have I actually answered it correctly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Little beef with JK.
Okay, good to know. But I do love my Harry Potter.
I have one weird trivia for you. The day after I researched these questions, I was watching an old episode of Fargo, and there was a Hugo Award prop in the scene that I was watching. And I wouldn't have recognised it before I had researched these questions. So there you go.
So a rocket,
Yeah,
a rocket-sized
she picks
prop.
it up as like a weapon in case someone, comes to attack her. Hmm.
Love it. Okay, and I have one last question. Let's round it out. Our lightning round of trivia. Who wrote The Handmaid's Tale?
Margaret Atwood. Is that right?
You're just too
Yeah.
good. It's you're too good, or maybe I've asked too easy
Yeah,
questions.
I've figured out the questions I should be asking, so mine might be different next episode.
Right, okay. We've got the trivia over, let's get into it. Today we're talking about The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. So this was a book published back in 2011 when I was just a wee babe of 28. It's a magical book about a travelling circus. Warning for everyone, we will be spoiling the whole book, so please turn off now and tune back in after you've had a chance to read this page turner. Still with us? Kick back, get comfy as we dive into this circus of dreams. Shall I start us off with a fun fact about the actual book, Rach?
I think you should.
Did you know that a significant portion of part 4 of the book was written by the author by hand using a vintage fountain pen?
No, I did not know that. Wow, that's a big effort.
Well, now you do. Wow.
So, did you like the book, Jess?
Yeah, it was my second read through, so I actually read it about 7 or 8 years ago. And if anyone has painfully listened to our very first podcast where we talked about Crime and Punishment, this was a lot easier read than old C&P. I think I liked it better on the reread just as much, if not more so, than the first time. What about you, Rach? Did you like it?
Yeah, I think I liked it better the first time I read it. The first time I read it,
Ah,
I was at a time in my life where I'd gone from being a massive bookworm when I was a kid and as a teenager, and then I'd gotten super busy with life in my 20s and 30s, and I'd just completely fallen out of the habit of reading. And a friend lent this book to me and said, "You should read this, you'd like it." And I loved it the first time. It was like
ah,
just got me back into reading. I couldn't put it down. It had all the elements of what I loved about reading books when I was a kid, where you stay up late reading and you
yeah.
just can't wait to get back to it. So it actually hooked me back into reading as a habit. And then that led me to join a book club, and you were in the book club, and now we're doing this
Ah,
podcast.
where we met.
Yeah.
Ah, full circle. Love it. Love it. And did you understand what was going on, or were you just enjoying the vibes?
So I think the first time I read it, which was quite a while ago, I got maybe 80 to 95% of it, and I just loved the vibes. And then this reread, I think I picked up that final 10% of what was going on.
Ah,
Yeah, but the vibes weren't as strong the second
I
time. What did you?
so love the vibes both times, but both times I feel like the ending is a bit of a hot mess for me. Like, yeah, I remember on the first read I was pretty confused, and I can't say that the second read was all that enlightening either. Like, I just feel like the ending kind of feels very fast. Like she didn't really know what to do. So that's my only sort of like if I'm gonna only give it a 4 star out of 5, it's because of the
Yeah,
ending.
the ending
Bit
is fast,
strange.
but I didn't understand the ending the first time, and this time I actually understood.
Yes,
So, yeah.
like I guess I understood it a bit more, but I still am not that smart.
Yeah. Or maybe I don't understand it. I just think I do.
All right. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's start with an interesting behind the scenes morsel. So, I think it's pretty widely believed that Erin Morgenstern started writing her book during the National Novel Writing Month. I think everyone calls it NaNoWriMo in the US. But that's not actually entirely true. So if you look it up, Erin herself says on her website that she actually messily drafted the novel over 2 separate NaNoWriMo Novembers. And then it was rewritten and revised and rewritten like some more for approximately 5 years. Had you heard about this NaNoWriMo thing, Rach? I
I
had to look it up myself.
Yeah, I had a bit of a look into it too, and the juiciest part I found was that at the time Erin was really heavily invested in NaNoWriMo when she was writing these drafts of the novels, but it seems they've fallen out in more recent times. And there's a bit of a beef on
Mm.
her website where she said, I've asked the current version of NaNoWriMo to take all my stuff down off their website to stop associating my name with their organization. So
Oh,
quite juicy.
okay.
Yeah.
For those who aren't aware of it, as I wasn't, National Novel Writing Month was not anymore, but was a US project or like competition that was started in 1999. It only had 21 participants to begin with, and basically writers were supposed to sign up. And they start 30 days of writing from midnight on the 1st of November every year, and then it ends at 1 minute to midnight on the last day of November. And no one's allowed to start early, and all the novels must be at least 50,000 words before the end of November to win. So, yeah, so even if Morgenstern did write some of the book during the NaNoWriMo months, she wouldn't have qualified for the prizes anyway because she never finished them. But what's the beef? Like, what actually happened? Like, why is she so cranky with them?
So I think back in the early 2000s, there was somebody there. I feel like the name was Simon, and he was like the lovely person who came up with the idea, and she really vibed with him. And then the organization personnel changed over time. She doesn't know anyone who works there now. I think Simon and the organization that it is have fallen out. She mentioned something about them having a view she didn't agree with on ChatGPT.
Whoa,
I'm going to
okay.
assume that means they're fine with.
Juicy.
Yeah, I'm going to assume they mean they're fine with ChatGPT, but helping people as they compete in NaNoWriMo. It does sound like a pretty daunting challenge, to be honest. Like,
Well, anyway, they've actually closed it all down,
oh,
Rach, in March of 2025. So we're recording this in June of 2025. In March of this year, they actually put a thing up on their website saying, due to all the controversy, and I guess it's talking about this ChatGPT
mm.
controversy, they're actually disbanding the whole thing, so that it's not going to be a thing anymore.
So
I don't know if it's to do with that ChatGPT, but
I
yeah.
think the lesson there is don't get on the wrong side of Erin Morgenstern. She will take you down.
Yeah, her and her fans for sure.
Yeah. So are we talking about the rewrite process now? Should we?
Yeah, the first draft.
Yeah. So I don't know how your research went, but I looked into it, and she competed. Erin competed in this NaNoWriMo 2003, but got nowhere. She had to drop out, and then succeeded doing the $50,000 word
50,000
limit in
words.
2004 and 2005. But neither of those projects were the Night Circus as we know today. So she took the characters she invented in 2005 and popped them into a circus context, and then spent another 2 years competing in NaNoWriMo with that circus imagery. But even after all of those years, she had 100,000 words of circus stuff, and she hadn't even found Celia yet. So it's, yeah.
Yes. So Celia wasn't even part of the first draft. She was actually the last character to be added. And fun fact, Morgenstern stole her name from a play on Clara Bow, who's like a famous American actress during the silent film era of the 1920s. So yeah, but interesting, she was kind of like the last character to be put in there. But yeah, speaking of the rewrite process, so Erin herself said that she often gets asked, how do you write a bestseller? And her answer is that she sat down, she started writing, she just had a lot of stuff in her head that she wanted to get down on paper. And then to your point about the draft, she had started writing this draft, but then she Googled the publishing industry and she realized there was all these sorts of rules like don't write in the present tense and never use the second person ever. And she thought, oopsie. But she'd written so much at that point that she felt like it was too late to go back and change it. And she just sort of crossed her fingers that most of it would be publishable, even if it wasn't done like properly, I guess you'd say. In fact, when she does talk a little bit about her own writing or rewriting process, and she says it is pretty messy. She doesn't write anything in sequential order. Instead, what she does is she conjures up spaces, people, and scenes in her mind, and then she tries to translate those images into words. And she said many of the scenes she wrote during the draft phase ended up being reordered during the revision process. So that, interestingly, like you said, I think Erin thinks she probably went through at least 4 drafts before the Night Circus started actually resembling the novel that we have actually read.
Wow.
And yeah, did you know she was only 32 when the Night Circus was sold? Like, I'm impressed by that.
No,
Being quite a bit older myself.
I did not know that. But I did do some research into the bidding war that was kicked off when she got past all her
Tell me
drafts.
more.
So after she spent all those years, it sounds like a decade, writing versions and versions of this book, it ended up in a slush pile at Inkwell Management, which is an agency. Um, so there was an agent there, Richard Pine, and he found it in the slush pile. And according to Erin's website, he's still her agent today. So Richard had had a couple of lunches with a publisher at Doubleday called Alison Callahan, and because he knew her a little bit, he knew what sort of book she was looking for, and he had a hunch this was exactly, right up
Oh,
Alison
nice.
Callahan's alley. So when he was sending it out to publishers, he made sure to send it to her. And then she was intrigued because it was the first book he'd ever submitted to her, even though they knew each other professionally. So she picked it up a bit earlier than she normally would have and started reading it. And she was so engrossed in reading it that she had to leave her office to get away from her email pinging. And she went and sat in the staff cafeteria at Doubleday and just tore through the book. And because she read it so fast, it gave her the jump and on all the other publishers that Richard Pine had sent it out to. And she is on the phone to Richard, and she goes into her boss's office. So this is quoted from Alison. She says, "When I acquired the novel, I was executive editor at Doubleday, and no, I was not allowed to buy anything I wanted, and I certainly didn't have a blank check. But I am rather reserved when it comes to acquiring novels. So when my boss saw how wild I was about it, we moved in a much quicker way than is typical for attempting to buy a fiction debut." So Richard then tells Alison, well, this is going to an auction because there are other publishers interested, but the other publishers weren't as far along as Alison. So then Alison says, well, we want to preempt the offer. And he says, well, there's another publisher that really loves it and wants to do a preempt, which is, stopping it going to auction. So Alison
Yeah.
pulled her preempt together even faster, and she'd already talked to Erin on the phone and told her how much she loved the book and how much she wanted to publish it. So they got their preempt together in the nick of time and bought it. And the rumor is the preempt had to be $500,000 to lock that in to stop it from going to auction. And that's a debut novelist.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's my juice.
Do you know what normal debut
I
novelists
think
get
they have
for a
to pay
preempt?
the publisher. No,
Like
I would say
half
like $5,000,
$500,000. That's awesome.
I reckon.
5,000.
Yeah, I don't think it would
Holy
be
moly!
anything like that.
No wonder she takes her time writing all her other books. She's only written like 2 other books. Is that right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'd be just chilling too, having some mimosas. Awesome. Well, let's round out this segment with another fun fact. Did you know, Rach, that when Erin Morgenstern was writing The Night Circus, she was highly influenced by the movie The Prestige? Have you watched The Prestige?
I haven't seen The Prestige. So
It's like 2 dueling magicians. It's got Hugh Jackman and I forget who the other guy is, but it's actually really good.
is it?
So yeah, The Prestige, and also a Macbeth flavored immersive theatre production called Sleep No More. So those 2 were kind of the inspiration that she took for the color scheme from black and white films in general, where everything's light and shadow. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Well, on the Shakespeare topic, she has brought in Hector Bowen's stage name as Prospero or Prospero, and that comes from a Shakespeare play, The Tempest. and it's about a magician named Prospero who lives on an island with his daughter Miranda. So in the book, that's why Hector is annoyed when he first meets Celia and makes the comment that her mother should have named her Miranda, not Celia. Oh,
Ah,
yeah.
because it's never explained but in the book.
Mm.
And it's actually a question that it comes up in Goodreads questions all the time. What the heck is this about Miranda? I love it. I love that you've answered that question. Great. So let's get into the nitty gritty now of the actual circus itself. So one thing that gets mentioned over and over in reviews is that rich sensory images that Morgenstern was able to create with her descriptions of the food, the visuals, the atmosphere. She actually said during the writing process she tried to make the circus her ideal entertainment space. So she was kind of thinking somewhere between a theatre and a museum, something to be explored instead of watched like a normal circus. Did you feel like you were exploring the circus as you read, Rach?
Yeah, I feel like that comes through because there's a few chapters scattered throughout the book that are from the point of view of a patron. So the reader becomes the patron, and you do get to experience
Mm.
a bit of the magic of attending this circus. So the stuff that stands out to me, the senses evoked in for me when I'm reading a sight, smell, and taste. So with sight, it's there's a chapter where you go through the black tunnel after the ticket booth, and then you come out into the blindingly white bonfire courtyard section,
Mm.
and that's really evocative to me. And then there's also throughout the book, there's the smell of the caramel and the popcorn, and the
Yeah.
taste of the best hot
Give me
cider.
some of that poppy.
Yeah. So the I know Bailey's an apple farmer, and he's like, this is the best hot cider ever. So that's pretty good
Yeah.
recommendation from someone who grows apples. And then I also really noticed the sight sense when they have the 13th anniversary party at Chandress's
Yes,
house,
with the acrobat.
and all the
Yeah.
colours, the descriptions of all the colours that everybody wears to the party. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Did you actually, on that point, like with the circus side of things, did you know that Erin says she doesn't actually really like circuses? She actually created that intricate world of the circus by accident. She said she was working on a different story, and that different story wasn't actually going anywhere. And she was feeling really bored and really frustrated, and out of desperation, she was like, why don't I send my characters to a circus? So she said the circus was immediately more interesting, and it appeared to her in her mind as she put the characters in there with lots of tents and a bonfire in the middle, and that was kind of the imagery that she had.
Wow. Seems like she likes circuses. I mean, I like the ones she's written. Maybe not real ones. Anyway, I noticed in the book, well, something people talk about is the non-linear structure. And I know you said that she puts the book together backwards in a way.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
but she has pieced it together. So for people that haven't read, there's five main sections. So primordium, illumination, intersections, incendiary, and divination. And then throughout those books, they cover rough timelines, but they're not strictly in chronological order. So primordium, sorry, is 1873 to 1886. So that's before the circus kicks off. And then Illumination is October 1886, which is opening night, through to 1896. And then section three is 1899 to 1902. And Incendiary is 1901 and 1902. And then Divination is really, really short. It's the wrap up at the end. And it's just December
That
1902.
hot mess.
Yeah, well, it's December 1902, which is Poppet, and January 1903, which is Widget. So yeah, and there's right at the end there's a final POV chapter for the patrons, and it translates in English to Sweet Dreams. So I thought it was quite nice. Um,
So you loved that structure because readers either loved it or hated it, and I must say I'm on the other end of it. I didn't really love how it sort of went back and forth because I found it a bit confusing.
Yeah, I don't often get lost in structure. I seem to be able to handle a lot of characters and a lot of out of order structuring without getting confused. I think because I just go with the flow and I don't worry that much about it, and then my brain just clicks it into place at the end. It sort of sorts it out like a
Yeah,
dream.
whereas my personality is very structured. I
Yeah.
can't handle it. Don't do this to me.
I think if you just let the story flow over you and just immerse yourself in, it like your brain will reconstruct it for you after you've finished. That's how it works for me anyway. So you don't agree. I was going to ask you if you liked. But I guess you could, if you wanted, because the dates are in the chapter headings, you could go through and read it in chronological order. If you want, you could rip bits out of the book
Yeah.
and put it in a different order and then read it in that order.
I'm probably not going to be bothered to do that, and yeah,
Okay.
like it's all right.
Question for
I'll deal
you.
with my confusion.
Quick question for Jess. If you could visit any
Yes, let's do
tent
it.
in the Night Circus, which tent would you visit?
Yes, my okay. So I did love the tents, but my favorite place in the book wasn't a tent at all. The place I loved the most, and I like, especially in the descriptions of it, and everything to do with it, was the clock. I loved the clock. I found it really like fascinating, the intricacy of it all, and I loved also how he, obviously, spoiler alert again, but he was the sort of king of the fans, the Night Circus fans, and he had started building clocks for the fans as well. So I really loved that. I was like, I wish we really did have this clockmaker so I could get my own clock.
Yeah. We,
What about you?
so
What tip?
the clockmaker, her Friedrich Thiessen.
I didn't even try
I'm
and
gonna
pronounce
try.
his name, but well done with
So
that.
I was confused on the reread because in the first time I read it, I thought he was a really old man. And the second time, people were saying
And they're kind of this
they're saying he's a potential love interest for
romance.
Celia, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. I think the same sort of thing, but I don't know. I don't know. But did you know? So on the same token of the tent. Oh, actually, tell me first. What was your favorite tent?
Well, I actually really liked Bailey's tent full of bottles. The
The
stoppered,
smells,
yeah,
the one that were,
because, and I
yeah.
think you know why?
Ah,
Because it's in that secret spot without a proper sign, and you stumble upon it,
yeah.
and it just reminds me of being John Malkovich, where you have to get off in the floor that's halfway between and crawl through the office
Are
space.
you are you a very nostalgic person? Because I always imagine people who would love that tent to be very nostalgic because it's all about the smells of memories,
Yeah,
right?
must be. I don't know. I think I like the
Yeah.
secretive nature of it more than, but yeah.
Oh, okay. No, what I was going to say is Erin Morgenstern was asked what her favorite tent was.
Mm.
Can you guess which one it was?
The ice garden?
So it was actually the labyrinth. She said she
Ah,
liked the idea of how long it would take to navigate through all the rooms and turns and dead ends, etc. But great, ice garden. If I was going to choose a tent, I would choose the ice
it
garden.
does sound, both labyrinth and ice garden sound like good things. Now, I have some silly questions for you, Jess. Would you, if you were
Oh,
in
let's
the
do it.
night circus, would you rather be
Mushroom related.
an acrobat, a lion tamer, a fortune teller, or one of the statues, the moving statues?
So definitely not a lion tamer. I'm not an animal person whatsoever. Acrobat, maybe. I'm actually pretty flexible. Um, but what was the last one?
Fortune teller or moving statue?
Fortune teller. I think fortune teller for sure because I can definitely talk. Like I could just make up some futures there. Probably not very accurate, but I would be very very convincing to you when I was reading your tarot cards.
Okay.
What about you, Rach? What would you choose?
Definitely not the moving statue. That sounds like the worst job
No,
ever. Maybe,
I'm too fidgety.
maybe the lion tamer. I like animals, but yeah, acrobat or fortune teller. Any of the others, I'm happy with. I'll have a go at each
I like
three.
I like to think of you as a lion tamer. I definitely think I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it.
All right.
What else? What other questions you got?
I've got, if would you rather be a 90-year-old contortionist working in a skimpy costume outside every night or a magician trapped in a tree for eternity?
Definitely the tree.
Okay.
I am more than happy to sit in a tree. I do like trees, and I definitely do not like skimpy outfits.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I'd probably pick the magician trapped in a tree. But you know, the
Yeah.
contortionist seems pretty happy doing her
Yeah.
job.
Okay. Okay.
So there you go.
Got any other questions, or we move to the next thing?
Let's move on to.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Actually, let's talk a little bit about Celia and Marco's relationship. So I guess it's the standard enemies to lovers trope disguised as a competition, which I do love. I do love an enemies to lovers trope. Fun fact: the original book didn't start out with a romance, obviously because Celia wasn't even there. But it stayed that way over many, many messy drafts. So Celia wasn't in the first draft, but anyway, eventually Morgenstern started moving characters around, and she ended up with Marco and Celia in potentially adversarial positions. And it was at that point she realized if she did that, it would have to turn into a romance, and so that's what's happened. Um, it's a slow burn with Celia, not really realizing that Marco is even her arch nemesis until about halfway through the book, which I personally found really infuriating. I mean, come on, girl, how thick can you be? I understand. I understand that Morgenstern was using it as a plot device because obviously Celia gets to know Marco through the tents he creates. But yeah, for me personally, I was like, "Hurry up already! Get to the love stuff." What did you think about it,
I
Rach?
actually thought it's romantic that she gets to know him via the tents
Oh, of
first.
course you would.
Anyway,
Come on, didn't you think she was a bit dense? Like, who else was it gonna be?
no, I think it's probably hard to work out who your adversary is if they're just a presence lighting bonfires and creating tents. Like, how are you going to know? It could be anyone. Could be anyone.
Alright,
And she
alright.
had her suspicions about Isabel and the contortionist, and yeah. Oh, just a quick question: did you think the contortionist and her, the person she dueled against in Japan 80 years earlier, do you think they were lovers as well? Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Yes, don't you? Like,
I
I
did
think 100%.
the first time I did because she had everything smell of cream and ginger in memory of her, and then
Yeah.
the second time I was like, were they just? I don't know. I wasn't sure. Anyway, I had a thing that I wanted to talk about, Marco and Isabel. So people do get a bit
Mm-hmm.
head up on the internet about him kicking Isabel to the curb when he starts
Yeah, little
competing with
moons.
Celia. And a thing I noticed during my reread is that there's a point in the book where Marco and Isabel meet up. And Marco notices that Isabel is wearing a bracelet on her wrist, which is made from locks of his and her hair plaited together.
Creepo.
And then he somehow steals it from her and disappears it. It's gone when she looks back.
Mm-hmm.
So it got me a bit curious to see if bracelets made of human hair are a thing, or if Erin Morgenstern just
Oh, please tell me
made
no.
them up for the
Please
book.
tell me no.
So did some light googling, stumbled upon a witch subreddit where the topic
Yeah.
was, I see a lot of witches on TikTok giving their boyfriends bracelets made of their own hair. Do you think this is a good idea? And then all the witches were discussing whether that was a good idea or not, a good idea or not. And then I went to a completely different website, not Reddit, which subreddits, which says that hair jewelry was a fairly common form of crafting in Victorian times, and it's still done a little bit in Sweden. So I did not know that.
Nah, I'm sorry, but I find that super
Yeah,
creepy. The only thing I think is more creepy than hair bracelets is, do you remember? Again, this is showing my age, but Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton, and they had vials of each other's blood,
I do remember
and they
that.
wore it as
Yeah,
necklaces.
that.
Like honestly, that it's up there. Hair bracelets is up there with vials of blood for
Yeah,
me.
so I looked on Google Images at a few images, and it's not as disgusting as I thought it would look. Like, it was more decorative than like what my brain imagines, and what Google Images shows are poles apart.
Okay.
But yeah,
So you're into
no,
it. You're
I'm
into
not
it.
going that far. Anyway,
Let's move on, I feel.
yeah. So next topic, exploring whether Prospero and Mr.
Yeah.
AH, whether we think that they're father figures or manipulative gods. So should I go first? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought the backstory in the book that Hector Bowen, Prospero, had originally been a very early student of AH, and that the competition had sort of germinated out of a debate that those two had about whose methods were better. I thought that
Yeah.
was a bit weak, and to be honest, I think they're both. I know you're supposed to think that AH is a lot more humane than Hector Bowen, but I thought they were both incredibly cruel, and they leave so much collateral damage in their wake. Like Tara
Mm-mm.
Burgess is dying, or she died. She steps in front of a train because she's watching AH argue with an invisible man. And then
Yeah.
Sakiku, the contortionist, she loses her ginger and cream adversary, potential lover.
Lover.
And
Yeah.
then Marco and
Yeah. No.
Celia, they're
Yeah.
and all the circus folk, like Isabel, like all of their lives are turned upside down, and that their teaching is awful. Both like so,
Yeah.
AH is book knowledge, and he's so distant when he gets that student. Like the student's just locked in a room by himself with no human contact. And then on the other
Mm.
end of the scale, Bowen's teaching at Celia by smashing her wrist with a paperweight and cutting her fingertips.
Yeah.
And
Making it
yeah,
heal it up. Yeah.
yeah.
Nah, I totally agree with you. I don't really have much to add on that, but I definitely thought it was definitely more along the manipulative side versus the father figure
Mm,
side. I would say the only sort of redeeming factor there is that AH rescued Marco from the orphanage, so I feel like he would have had a worse life if he had lived in the orphanage. But I do also agree, like, he was very isolated. And like even the fact that AH got so angry whenever Marco called him using the window, you know
mm,
how he does the symbols on the window. He obviously didn't have any true feelings towards his welfare. But I mean, if I had to choose between the two of them, Prospero was about as awful a dad as you could possibly get. Like, I would rather be taught by books and isolated than have a shadow dad following me around into adulthood and making me heal my fingers up
yeah.
every
Bowen is
so I
definitely
don't
the
know.
worst one. And the worst bit is when he gets in Chandress's ear and he goads him into trying to kill Mr. AH at the
Yeah,
circus.
yeah.
And he must have
and then
known.
and then my
I
clockmaker.
don't understand. Like, he
My
must
clock.
be thick if he thought that the knife would hit AH.
Yeah,
But he obviously doesn't
yeah.
even understand his teaching methods to know that Marco would put the charm
Or
on the
he.
circus, the safety.
Okay,
Have you
let's
got a
get
fun
back to
fact for me?
trivia. We love. Yeah, of course. So the Night Circus has actually been optioned by Summit Entertainment, or I think it's Lionsgate's part of it, to be made into a film. This is not like no surprise, right?
Mm.
Of course, it was going to be made into a film, but the movie adaptation is in development, and a guy called Jeremy Jasper has been announced as the director. So that was announced way back in February 2018, but then there hasn't been much going on since then. So that's like nearly 7 years ago. So yeah, I assume we're gonna see a film about it at some stage. But yeah, who knows when.
It'll be a difficult one to make into a film, I think.
Would you would you like to watch it as a film, or would you rather a series?
I don't mind watching anything I've read after I've read it. I don't like watching it before I've read the book.
I don't like watching it after,
Mm.
because if I want to reread the book, then I always imagine the characters as the actors who played them. so I can never go back.
That's
So I have a kind of a thing about I don't want to. But if I know I'm never going to read it again, I don't care. I'll watch it. That's fine.
true. That
But
happens.
really,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, that happens to me too. Like I can't. I used to have a Harry Potter in my head, and now I just see Daniel
Yep.
Radcliffe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I've reread, and when I was saying that, I was thinking of Harry
Yeah.
Potter. I was thinking of those guys that will always. I know they're doing a new series. Maybe that will, take the thought out of my mind. But yeah, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma, etc. All right, let's keep moving on. It's pretty wild how much people who love this book love this book. It's a bit like art imitating life, that the book has developed a strong cult following. It's similar to how the circus itself attracted super fans who followed it around. Gonna try and pronounce the name. They called themselves Reviers. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation. But these guys, these super fans, they wore red scarves to identify themselves to other Reviers at the circus. Just like Taylor has her Swifties, Justin has his Beliebers, the Night Circus has inspired a generation of real-life Reviers who are so devoted to the book. They've created playlists, fanfic, cosplay. They've even gone so far as to get tattoos of their favorite characters or tents in the book, and they often wear red scarves, obviously a nod to the novel's original Reviers. When you've gone down the ladder to the fanfic, any interesting fan theories or anything you've noted about these Reviers?
That just translates to dreamers, right? You could just say dreamers in
Oh,
English.
I wish you'd told me that.
It's French for dreamers. I guess mine's a bit vanilla, but the twins' birth in the book, I think a lot of people really focus on why that's such an auspicious event because, there's so much magic coming from Celia and Marco at you know, as the circus kicks off, it actually forces the mum into early labor, and then they're born much too early and with magical powers. So they somehow absorb powers from Celia and Marco, and Widget, being the twin, being born before midnight, ends up being able to read the past from people, and Poppet, being born after midnight, can read the future. And I guess a bit of trivia, we found out much later in the book that it's Mr. AH that said the crib, which looked like bonfire,
Oh
Marco's
yeah, that's right.
bonfire when the twins were born. So I think it's trying to soften his image and make him a nicer character than he is. Yeah.
Mm.
What about you?
Speaking of which, yeah, so that ties in quite. So the fan theory that I found most intriguing to kick around is that there's this one that's going around that Mr. AH and Prospero actually represent fate versus free will. So the theory is that AH, which is Marco's mentor, and Prospero, Celia's father, represent larger philosophical ideas. Specifically, AH is all about free will and learning, and Celia's father is all about fate and they were the nature versus nurture. And the evidence for it, or supposed evidence, is that AH is distant, he's unemotional, he treats people like pawns. Prospero is obsessed with control and legacy, and their ideological battle plays out with their students. I do kind of agree with this one. I can see the parallels. What do you think?
Yeah, I did. Just riffing on that, I noticed in the book Celia has a raven called Hugin, and her father in one scene says, "Oh, you should get another one, a Munin, to complete the set." And Celia replies, "I prefer thought to memory, Papa." So, for those of you who aren't aware, Hugin and
Mm.
Munin are the names of Odin's ravens, Odin being Thor's father and the king of the Norse gods. And Hugin means thought, Munin means memory, and I take that to mean that because Hector has caused so much pain to Celia, it's no wonder she doesn't want a raven called Memory. And Hector's teaching methods are about the memory of your fingertips and how they feel whole and putting them back together from memory. And AH's teaching methods are about thought. So it's kind of a funny little rejection of Celia of her father and his teaching methods, and she wants to learn more from Marco and Marco's teacher and become more like Marco, rather than holding the whole circus in herself. So yeah. Okay. Now, can I give you a fun fact?
I'd love a fun
So
fact.
Erin Morgenstern studied studio art and theatre at Smith College. So studio art and theatre, that explains the intensely visual prose, I think.
That makes a lot of sense. Like, I think I was mentioning in the rewrite process how she doesn't like write in a linear way, or with any sort of like, oh, this is what my character's going to be. Instead, she always saw it in an image in her mind and then tried to translate that onto paper. So that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if I imagine the dreamers that love the Night Circus would be really keen to buy some of her visual art. Wonder how much that's kicking around on Etsy
Well,
for.
yeah, she's designed tarot card sets, like Night Circus tarot cards
Oh, for my
that you
future,
can buy.
my future stint as
Yes.
a fortune teller.
Now I know what to get you for Christmas. So,
All right, shall we wrap up our potty with a lightning round of true or false trivia about the book this time?
yes,
You want to hit it,
yes,
Rach?
okay, one for you. Jess, the Victorian era, meaning the time Queen Victoria was on the throne of England, ran from 1837 to 1901, which means that the Night Circus is set in the late stages of the Victorian era. True or false?
Oh my goodness, you're always so intelligent with these questions. Mine are not so good. I'm going to just say true.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank God it's a 50-50% chance. Okay. True or false for you, my dear? Morgenstern initially envisioned the novel as a book for adults, not young adults. True or false?
Okay. I actually thought it was a book for adults. Is it a book for young adults? I'm going to say
It is
true.
It is true that she initially envisioned it as a novel for adults, but it is actually under young adult fiction.
There's a fun fact for me. I didn't know that. Okay, true or false, Jess? A standard deck of tarot cards contains 78 cards. True or false?
Well, I should know this, as I said, my new profession. I'm gonna say false.
True.
Oh no! Damn it
Okay.
all right, my question for you: Celia's mother is actually Tsutsiko.
False, I think.
Yeah, false. But what a twist it would have been, right?
What a big plot twist.
FYI, a true thing about it is, fun fact is that Tsutsiko, how do you pronounce it?
Tsutsiko. Tsutsiko.
Tsutsiko.
No, hang on. It's Kiko at the end. Tsukiko?
Okay.
Tsukiko.
Yes, I'll let you say that. Her name actually means moonchild in Japanese. That is a true thing, but she wasn't Celia's mother.
That's beautiful. Okay. True or false? Isabel's deck of tarot cards only contains 77 cards because she's used the temperance card from her deck as part of the binding charm she put in the circus.
I feel like that would be true.
It is true. There you go.
Yeah, right. Okay. Which one was it? Which card
Temperance.
was it? Temperance. And was there a reason for that?
I think it tries to balance the yin and yang, the scales. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, and then my last true or false. The character of Chandresh Christophe Lefebvre was based on David Bowie. True or false?
Oh. Mum was a ballerina. I'll just say true. Yeah?
It was false.
Okay.
Nice try.
Okay, I've got a few more for you. True
Okay.
or false, Erin thanks a cult perfume lab named Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab in the book Acknowledgements.
Oh man, I feel like I did read the acknowledgements, but I don't know. It sounds true. True?
It is true. So,
okay.
Fun fact for you, I only just heard about this lab on a podcast when it was mentioned the podcast was talking about Neil Gaiman and
You
controversy,
love yoga.
and they said that he had a perfume called lemon scented sticky back perfume, and I googled it, and it's made from the same perfume lab. It's obviously like a sort of cult perfume lab that Morgenstern and Gaiman and those types of people are into. So another true or false for you, Bailey and the Night Circus lives in Massachusetts, and that is where Erin Morgenstern lives in real life.
Oh, I should know this. Well, no, I'm gonna say false.
It's true, she lives
False.
in Massachusetts.
I don't know. I thought I was getting a San Fran vibe from her, but maybe that was the NaNoWriMo thing that just put me off.
Okay, true or false? One more? No, two more. One more. This book kicked off the steampunk aesthetic. True or false?
False.
Yes, it is false. I did learn that steampunk began as a subgenre of science fiction in the 1980s, with writers like K.W. Jeter and James Blaylock coining the term
Ooh.
and exploring the theme. I've never heard of either of those people. Okay, final question for the listeners. If you had to sleep in the Night Circus, which tent would you sleep in? And if you were attending the Night Circus, what would your circus outfit look like? Would you dress as a dreamer?
Good question. I will let the listeners let us know on our socials which tent they would like to sleep in. But for your reference, Rach, I would definitely not be sleeping in the ice tent because it would be
freezing. Or the lion tent, because you'd get eaten. Okay.
What about you? Which tent would you sleep in? Tell me it's the smells one again.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like
just
that
hugging a jar.
Yeah. Or maybe the cloud labyrinth, just sleeping on a cloud.
And what about your? Oh yeah, I like that. The cloud one's probably the best one. What about your dreamer outfit? What would you?
I'd probably dress up as a dreamer, like all black or all black with a dash of red. I think.
What's your dash of red?
Shoes.
Put you on the spot.
Like the Pope. Oh, red shoes like the Pope.
Like it. I said I'd choose a lovely red cozy beanie.
Oh, nice.
I do get quite cold.
I have a book. I have an answer to this, but I'll ask you, is there another book you've ever read that gives you that dreamy, magic-y feeling that you get when the first time you read The Night Circus?
Oh, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there has been, but I really did love this. Like, you can probably tell, like, compared to
Crime and Punishment,
which was a punishment to read. Like, this was a really lovely book, and even though I kind of, like, at the end was a bit messy for me, I really did love it. What about you? Is there any?
Yeah, there's a book called The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos
Ruiz Zafón. The library.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Gives me that dreamy feeling. I like that one too.
Yeah.
You can never read it for the first time again. It's always...
That's reminded me, Mr. Penumbra's bookshop or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. That's kind of a bit of a dreamy one.
Yeah, we should do that one. I like that one too.
Great, let's wrap it up. Okay, folks. We've officially hit the end of the road for the Travelling Night Circus. We hope you've enjoyed the ride as much as us. Let's give a sneak peek at what book our next episode will be discussing. We love to give everyone a clue. I will provide mine and then you shall provide yours, Rach. My clue for the next book is get ready for a true monster of a book.
Okay. Well, my co-clue, same book, is this book is considered to be arguably the first science fiction novel, and it was written by an 18-year-old woman who turned 19 during the writing process. So
you are giving way too much away, and you're being very serious about it.
Oh no, I'm sorry. So if you like this episode, please follow us, rate our podcast. If you want to leave us a review, do that on the podcast app you're following us on, and we're on social media at Instagram, Book Trivia.
Oh yeah.
and
Trivia podcast.
book trivia
Follow us.
podcast, and we're also on Substack. So find us.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Welcome to the